My name is Scott Stevens, and I'm president of the Rotary Club of Harrisburg. I joined Rotary over 8 years ago because I believe in service, growing membership, and giving back to the community. The Rotary Club of Harrisburg is the number 23 club in the entire world. We have over 100 members, and we've been around for over 100 years. We are also part of Rotary International, which has over 1.4 million members, all seeking to do good in the world. Please check out our socials and learn more at hvgrotary.org. We have a special guest today. Now, I couldn't find a higher resolution photo of this, so I apologize. So, Paul Thompson, our district governor, is here today. He has a presentation to present to us, and I would assume it's going to be interactive. Knowing you, Paul, you're going to want some feedback. But before we do that, I want to introduce him, and then we have a special presentation for a few members here. So, Paul, would you like to come on up? We have two people here that would like to come up. Dan Z and Joe Bedard. Please come on up here with the camera, please.
No, I insist. No, I insist. Age before beauty, after you.
This is Dan's, and that's Dan's first.
I'm gonna see it always go last.
Dan, here you go. Congratulations on becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. It's really a great distinction and a major contribution to the case. And Joe is actually a Paul Harris Fellow number 3 times 3, which is really well done. And for those of you who don't know it, Paul Harris is results in a contribution of $1,000 to Rotary. And Joe, you've given 3 times that, right, over the years? And that's excellent. So you get a pen, which you can only imagine. So way to go, Joe. All right, so while I'm here, I'm just going to stay right here and say a few words. And I'm going to stand right next to my friend Paul Harris. This is, in fact, what he looked like at the height of his leadership of Rotary. But first of all, I want to say hello, friends, because everybody here is a friend automatically by virtue of coming to a meeting like this, belonging to a club like this. Rotary is an amazing organization. I know many of you haven't heard that much about it. So what I thought I'd do is get very basic and talk about the concept, the purpose of Rotary, and how it's evolved through the years to become the dynamic organization that it is. I'm actually a Rotarian for about 20 years myself, from Hershey area. My wife's Rotarian. She joined ahead of me. And I've had all the same jobs that most Rotarians have. I've been president of my club in Hershey and done many other things in Rotary. And then I have most recently taken on the job of district governor, which means I relate to all 40 clubs within our district of 7 counties in South Central PA and close to 1,800 Rotarians. So picture this room times that exponential factor, and you'll start to appreciate what Rotary is, and then look around the world, and you come to 1.4 million Rotarians. So it really is an incredible organization, 35,000 clubs, over 200 countries, and entities. So it's an amazing venue or forum or organization to do good in the world and bring about change. So back to Paul Harris. You just saw 2 distinguished Rotarians receive a Paul Harris Award. Paul Harris was on I want to go to the very beginning so you really understand who Paul Harris is, okay? Picture the year 1870, the early 1870s in upstate New York. Paul Harris belonged to a family that was kind of dysfunctional, and his mother had one set of views, his father a different, and they were each going to go their own way, so the family basically fell apart. His mother put Paul Harris on a train from upstate New York to Brattleboro, Vermont, when he was only 5 years old all by himself. And she gave a piece of paper to the conductor saying, let this kid off in Vermont, okay? So he went there and he met his grandfather, his grandmother at the station. They took him in and he lived with them for the next 15 years roughly. Had a wonderful time growing up in small town America, Wallingford, Vermont. And there he was raised by a village. You've heard that expression, right? And he ran around all day, kind of wild. He would have been a great scout, by the way. He had bare feet. He had those pants that you roll up and down. And the reason why they roll up and down is because as you get older and taller, you just keep rolling them, right? So he had the same pants for years, had a plaid shirt and a straw hat. And he just ran around the village and was basically brought up by a village. Got to know everybody. At night, his grandmother would wash his feet and then put him to bed. And then he eventually graduated, went on, became a distinguished athlete, and went to college, went to law school, traveled around the world, and then in his early 30s ended up in Chicago, where he was a lawyer living in the inner city, trying to make a meaningful life for himself. And he was very lonely. He was almost alienated. He experienced gloom, and he actually experienced depression. He actually talks about this openly. And he wanted to have the sort of fellowship and friendship that a Rotary organization provides. So we got together with some of his colleagues, and Rotary has a business professional origin to it. So everyone here is actually, could easily have been approached by Paul Harris back in Chicago in 1905 and said, why don't you come to a lunch and we'll talk about each other's professions, like we just heard from Laura, and we'll benefit from that interaction, that networking, and everybody will be happier and more fulfilled. So the first Rotary meeting took place in 1905 in Chicago. He had 4 people there. And after that meeting, 2 decided it really wasn't for them, so they dropped out. And then he was down to 2 people, okay? And that's what it takes to have a successful Rotary experience, 2 people. One person, or each person has accepted the core values of Rotary, which are service, friendship, leadership, integrity, and diversity. They've accepted those core values. They've taken on the 4-way test, which you've all recited, which is a great personal orientation toward dealing professionally. And then they've accepted this concept of service. So any 2 Rotarians who come together and share that sense of friendship and fellowship, then turn around and say, okay, what can we do about the world? How can we make a change? It could be the community. It could be next door. It could be a deficiency, a need somewhere in the community. It could be somewhere far away. And I'm going to quickly run through the relevance of Rotary because it's an extremely relevant organization. And I'm going to talk a little about the role of Rotary in the world. And I think we all know the world could use a lot of help. If everybody were Rotarian, then we might not have, or we would not have the sort of conflict we experience and all the other problems. But that's not the case. But one of our missions is, and I have to commend this club and Scott on bringing in so many guests today. That's remarkable. And I would encourage each of you guests to consider joining an organization like this. Gives you a chance to be an informed, engaged citizen of the world and of the community while you're sitting here having lunch and having a good time. You can do all those things at once. Andy just told you how to do it. We started off in the Philippines and we started fighting polio. We eventually took it nationally in the Philippines. Polio at that point obviously was all around the world. When I was a kid, I was fearful of polio. I was fearful of the iron lung. And many of us know polio survivors. They're still very, very much aware. And many Rotarians are polio survivors. Anyway, the Rotary leadership went to the United Nations in the mid-'80s and said, we want to fight polio in the whole world. And the UN leadership, the UNICEF and WHO said, appreciate your goodwill, but come back when you have an army. And what did Rotary say? We got an army, okay? We have over 1 million people ready to go administer the inoculations and so forth. And that's what we've been doing now for 40 years. We've just about wiped it out. Polio is only left in 2 countries, although I heard there was a slight rise in the Gaza Strip just recently. But for the most part, we've accomplished that, and it's been an amazing story. Even Bill Gates and other nonprofits have recognized that Rotary's done something that few organizations have ever done, over $2 billion. Then in the 1990s, we started having Rotary ambassadors to the United Nations, and we still have about 30 appointed each year to go to the 22 UN organizations and contribute to the level of discourse and so forth. Our peace centers have really spread. We have 6 now, and the 7th one is going to open in Istanbul in February of 2025. And we recruit hundreds of students each year to study peace and then to go occupy or, fill peace-related jobs throughout the world, either in government or outside of government, a lot of nonprofits. And these are our 7 areas of focus, and that should be part of your elevator speech also. You should be able to get those 7 down. It should make a lot of sense to you. When a baby is born, a baby needs good water, right? A lot of people don't have water. It needs safe water. It needs to have health care for its mother and for itself. It needs to have disease eradicated. It needs to have basic literacy and education. It needs to live in a community where there's economic prosperity. It needs to have a conflict resolution and peace, and it needs to have a good environment. That should be part of your elevator speech, along with a 4-way test and the core values. And practice that at home in front of a mirror, and then practice it out when next time someone says, "What's Rotary anyway?" Well, Rotary is amazing. You can sit right here, raise money at the pancake breakfast, and decide you're going to help get fresh water to somebody in the other side of the world or in their own community. This is a very super slide right here, very important. We became a Peace Builder District in June 29th, 2024, when we raised enough money to be designated as such. And you may recall we gave a lot of money to Ukraine after that happened, when the tragedy going on still in both Ukraine and in the Gaza Strip with that conflict. We really didn't have an easy place to send money or help, so we've become a peace district now. Andy's going to give us a billboard. When you drive through Harrisburg at some point in the future, you're going to see this humongous billboard that says, "Our district is a Peace Builder District." We're going to have positive peace workshops, and we're going to have many other opportunities. And I would encourage each of you to get on RotaryAmbassador.org, I think it is, and become a peace ambassador. You get a nice certificate for that. It's only a 2-hour course. You'll learn what positive peace really is and how to get it in the world. And you can then get involved in that. So watch for additional things there. These are the pillars of positive peace, and many of these are missing around the world. These are the 7 areas which Rotary gets involved, and say to yourself, how do we be effective in making a change in the world? And it's not, beyond anybody's reach. You can do it sitting right here at a meeting. You can say, let's do a project, let's get a grant, let's do something somewhere in the world. And it really does make a difference. Your club will find a host club in whatever country you want to do this, and then the 2 clubs will work together. It does not go via the government, and it's 100% of every penny gets where you want it to get. So it's really a remarkable process. Global trends, just for a couple of minutes here. We're at a critical juncture, obviously. The world is definitely not doing as well as it could. Scott will give you this website if you want it, but you can look up and see what the world's going to look like in 2030. And there's still a lot of problems, a lot of development, so a lot of challenges to development. Some good news: individual empowerment will increase, but no one nation is going to have hegemonic power anymore, and it's going to be a multipolar world. There's the population clock at the top. We are gaining 200,000 residents of the world each day. If you want to look that up, you can see a clock, who's born and who dies every second. And most of them are moving into the world's cities that don't have the infrastructure to take care of them. So lots of areas there for Rotary to be responsive. We're going to continue to have displacement. We're going to have migration, a lot of climate-related migration. Food and water and energy demand is going to continue to grow. We all know the economy's a problem, and there's a great gap in governance in almost every country of the world. It's very hard to get a government that really represents the people. So, and new technology. So there's my Rotary story of Paul Harris, boy on a train. So I know this is a lot of stuff to throw. However, each of you has a piece of the equity in this. It's everybody's responsibility to make a difference and to feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment by doing so. And you can do it as small as you want. You can support an Eagle Scout project, or you can, support an exchange student. You can have a pancake breakfast. You can do a grant to, health or security. You become a peace builder. All these options are there and available. And it's a remarkable opportunity everybody has to participate. And first and foremost, enjoy the camaraderie of the club and do it together. Shared effort has no limits, okay? That's what Paul Harris said. Shared limits has no limits. And when you guys get together, any two of you, for any reason, you can feel it, okay? So having said all that, and Rachel's heard this twice now, so I don't know how she feels about it. Rachel, did you?
Better the second time.
Better the second time, all right. It's a different club, right? Watch out for her. She's going to all the clubs just like I am. So any thoughts, any reaction? I mean, what an amazing organization. I'm going to give something really special to, which are pea stubs. Little tiny pea stubs. There you go. You get one for what you said when I first moved. Okay, so anytime you want to get hold of me, you know how to do that. You know how to get involved as a peace builder, and you know how primarily to be effective within your own club. And, you know, our big strategy is, you guys, our business people love strategies. We believe in increasing our impact. We believe in extending our engagement, and we believe in adapting to the modern times, technology and so forth. And so to test that out, apply it to this club first. As you come in, say, I want to increase my reach and my effectiveness right within this club. It's a great opportunity. It's a workshop. It's a laboratory. And then when everybody feels good, then take it outside and see what you can do. It's amazing. All right, Scott, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. And always remember Paul Harris. Okay, he's looking at